Good evening to you, traveller. I see you have come to hear one of my many tales. They say a policeman's lot is not a happy one, and I can agree. Putting your life on the line and running into danger whilst others run the other way certainly isn't much to smile about. Now I come to think about it, all this talk of policemen has reminded me of a tale. Come, traveller, sit a while and listen to the tale I like to call Assistance Required. On the island of Sodor, law and order is maintained by the Sodor Island Constabulary, who have their headquarters in Vickerstown. As well as human officers, the SIC employ a fleet of non-faceless engines and road vehicles such as Joey. Thomas the Tank Engine has always liked policemen, apart from the rather overzealous village constable who reported him for being a danger to the public and a regular lawbreaker. The reason Thomas likes policemen so much is because he admires them for their bravery and their dedication to duty. One day Thomas was at Tidmouth chatting to Percy while he waited for the line to clear.
Oh, yes! I'd love to be a police engine. I might as well, after all. I am painted blue, and they do call the policemen the boys in blue.
Personally, Thomas, I don't think you'd make a very good police engine.
And why not? I did catch those burglars who stole the Ffarqhuar Station master's gardening trophies and sprinted them away in his new car after all.
Firstly, that wasn't actually you. Granted, you spotted the car, but if your fireman hadn't had the idea of getting the signalman to contact the police so they could get a roadblock set up, the thieves would have most likely have gone to ground the minute you lost them, and be in America right now.
Listen here, you!
Suddenly, Thomas was interrupted by a loud, shrill whistle. Thomas and Percy looked to see where it was coming from, but it was impossible as the sound seemed to come from everywhere at once.
What is that? Where's it coming from?
It sounds like those whistles the policemen use, but I can't see a policeman anywhere.
The whistling carried on and on until it eventually stopped. Thomas and Percy were checking everyone was all right when Constable Stamp, the Tidmouth policeman, came speeding into the station yard on his bicycle.
All right, what's the trouble?
What do you mean, Mr. Stamp?
The whistle, Thomas. Surely you heard it?
Yes, we did. We thought it might have been you.
Me? No. I was coming out of the police house when I heard the whistle, so I hopped on my bicycle and cycled down here as fast as I could. Are you sure no other officer didn't call you for assistance?
No, sir. We honestly did think it was you.
Constable Stamp proceeded to question everyone in the station, but the response was the same. Everyone heard the whistle, but no one had seen the policeman in distress. Constable Stamp returned to the police house and filed the incident as ongoing inquiries. The next day, Daisy was pulling into Tidmouth with a passenger train from the Little Western. She was just about to wish the passengers departing a pleasant day when there was 2 sudden gunshots.
My goodness! Someone's shooting at us! Everybody, get in cover now!
The passengers did not need telling twice. Those inside Daisy threw themselves to the floor and covered their heads, while the people on the platform hid under benches and inside the station buildings. Daisy's driver laid on the horn, and her guard blew her whistle for all she was worth. Shortly, Daisy could hear the sound of sirens, and the police cars skidded to a halt in the car park, whilst Joey screeched to a stop outside the station.
Daisy? Are you alright?
Who? Me? Why, I'm fine, darling. In fact, I find it quite therapeutic when people take pot shots at my passengers and me. Of course I'm not flipping all right. Now, for God's sake, stop yammering and do something.
Oh, right, of course. Carver, sweep the yard. Quinnen, Hollis, search the immediate vicinity.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nothing. Not even a weapon.
I've searched the area, but there's no sign of any suspicious activity.
And let me guess. Everybody heard the shots, but nobody saw who fired them. correct?
That's correct.
Ugh. Blast my whistle. How can this be possible? We were on the scene within minutes of hearing the shots. The suspect can't have just vanished.
Excuse me, darling, but may I be permitted to leave? I still have a service to run, you know, and I'm late enough as it is.
No. Sorry, Daisy. Yes, you're clear to proceed.
Well, thank you, my dear. Good luck in your search.
Thanks. I reckon I'll need it.
The investigation into the mysterious false alarm and gunfire intensified, but the Sodor Island Constabulary was at a loss to find a logical and rational explanation for them. All officers were made to give an account of their whereabouts at the time Thomas and Percy heard the whistle, and all licensed firearm owners in the area each had their firearms inspected to see if any firearm in their possession had been recently fired, but no officer had been in the Timoth area except for Constable Stamp, and no firearm that was inspected showed any sign of having been recently fired. For a while, the trail went cold, but it was soon rekindled. Bertie the bus was on his way back to the depot after having taken a coach party to Vickerstown. He was getting very tired and was desperately trying to stay awake, when suddenly Bertie became aware of a figure standing in the road. He braked hard and came to a stop just short of the figure. To Bertie's surprise, the figure was a man dressed in old police uniform.
I'm sorry, Mr. Constable. I didn't see you there. That is not that I wasn't paying attention or anything. Only it's quite dark tonight, and my lights aren't all that good. No, that came out wrong. Wait, I didn't mean to. What I meant to say was.
But the constable said nothing. He merely just stared at Bertie before turning around and walking away.
Okay. Have a good night, Mr. Constable.
The next morning, Bertie found Joey and decided to tell him all about his encounter with the constable last night.
And you say he just turned around and walked away. He didn't even give you a caution about your driving.
Firstly, I hope you're not insulting anything with that remark. And secondly, no, he just turned around and walked off.
I meant no offence, Bertie. Believe me. Now, I don't suppose you happened to get this constable's collar number, did you? If you give it to me, I can question him about the incident myself.
Well, it's a funny thing. He wasn't dressed like a constable. Well, I mean, he was, but his uniform wasn't like the one PC Carver's wearing. It looked older.
Older? Exactly how old is older?
Well, putting it frankly, he looked like he was from the 1920s, and he had a great big bushy beard.
Wait, 1920s? Great big bushy beard? Bertie, please tell me you got his collar number. I really need to know what it was.
Hold on, it's all coming back to me. Let's see, I only saw it for a minute. 2509? Yes, that was it. 2509.
2509. I wonder if it's possible. Listen, Bertie, thanks for all of this. If I'm right, you've just helped me solve this mystery.
Joey returned to police headquarters and, after doing some research, confirmed his theory. Later that night, he silently crept into Tidmouth Yard and lay in wait. An hour passed, and Joey suddenly heard footsteps along the ballast. He switched on his powerful searchlight, and there, in the beam, was the constable Bertie had seen.
Good evening, 2509. No, wait. That's too formal, especially for this situation. Don't you agree, Charles?
The constable suddenly smiled and nodded, causing Joey to smile in return.
I see you agree with me. Listen, Charles, I'm glad I've caught you because there's something I need to tell you. Something I think you've been wanting to hear for a long time.
Charles slowly walked towards the inspector, their eyes locked on each other's, and placed a hand on the engine's buffer beam. Joey took a deep breath and smiled sympathetically.
We got him, Charles. We got him bang to rights. When? About 6 months after it happened. He spilled everything whilst being arrested for being drunk and disorderly. I think you'll be pleased to hear he got the only punishment possible for what he did to you.
As Joey watched, Charles began to smile as tears welled up in his eyes. Joey smiled back and continued.
I did some digging into your family. The force looked after them well, and your daughter married an officer in the RAF just after the Second World War. They, in turn, had a son who's just become a chief inspector in the Metropolitan Police in London. It's time for you to move on, Charles. What happened has happened, and I'm sorry it happened. But it'll do you no good to hang around. Don't you agree?
Charles slowly nodded, stepped back from Joey and saluted him before turning around and walking away, slowly fading until there was no longer any sign of him.
Joey?
Thomas, how long have you been there?
Long enough. What's happened? Is he gone?
Yes, Thomas. He's gone, and for good. I'm pleased to say.
But I don't understand. Who was that policeman? What do you mean by move on? What happened?
That man we just saw was Police Constable 2509 Charles Dixon. He was shot by a man named Harold Bucket who'd just murdered his wife Gwendolyn because he believed that she was having an affair with her employer. Alerted by the shot, Dixon raised the alarm before confronting Bucket, but Bucket just shot him, quickly packed a bag and fled. The Sodor Constabulary quickly put out an all-ports alert, but were too late to stop him, crossing over the Vickerstown Bridge.
Why didn't they just send some men after him?
Things were different then, Thomas. Relationships between Parliament and the local authority were strained and, back then, the SIC's jurisdiction ended in the middle of the bridge. To step over it would mean they would be operating in the jurisdiction of the Borough-in-Furness Police.
So, they just let him get away after murdering 2 people?
No. He got what was coming to him eventually. He was initially arrested in Gloucester for being drunk and disorderly, but when he was being taken in, he laughed in the arresting officer's face and admitted to having killed Dixon without batting an eyelid. Once the Gloucestershire police confirmed it with us, they sent him back to stand trial at Vickerstown Crown Court, where he was found guilty on both accounts and sentenced to hang.
Well, I'm glad Mr. Dixon's at peace now. And I hope Gwendolyn Bucket is as well.
So do I, Thomas.
After that night, there were no more reports of false alarms or gunshots, and Constable Dixon was never seen again. Thomas has even more respect for the police now, even the overzealous constable, because he realizes that behind the uniform is a living soul that could, at any moment, be cruelly and callously snuffed out. I hope you have learned from this tale, traveller, and my advice to you is, the next time you see a police officer out in public, go up to them and thank them for keeping you safe. Ah, the clock doth toll the hour, and I must return to my work. Take care as you continue on your journey, traveller. I would hate to remake your acquaintance under less social circumstances.